This is Van Electric Ghost, and we're live on the air with Meridee Hlokoff, right?
Lock off, but yes,
Hlokoff,
very good.
almost, almost tried to get that right. But I want to welcome you to the Fan Electric Ghost podcast, and we love to talk to people from all over the world. And one of the first things we always ask anybody until we get to the heart of your story is like, what motivates you, and why do you do what you do?
What motivates me is helping people. What I do and why I do it is because the more people that I can help, the better the impact I'm going to have on the world. And I just feel like I was put here with a bigger purpose.
That's cool. Like you wanted to pay it forward, so you
I
want to
did.
be.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like a teacher or mentor. I'm a producer. Like you help other younger artists, or other artists that self actualize.
Yes.
Like
Yes. And
you
that's,
want
my ultimate goal is I help people make their lives better and make themselves better so that they can be the best version of themselves.
that's cool. I think that's what being a creative. I look at like what you do. I believe is creative, just like a singer songwriter or a filmmaker and artist. I think everybody's creative, and so
I agree.
I try to weave creativity and that kind of spark into everybody I talk to.
Yeah.
Because I think it just makes things like this is why people have their authenticity. Like everybody has the secret. Every human being has their little secret sauce that makes them an individual, and they
Yes.
need a permission structure to actually really dive into it.
Yeah, to be themselves and to accept that they can be themselves, I think is really the key.
Yeah, that's a big thing. So, like, you're the founder of LaserQuit, and maybe we want to talk about that, or maybe you want to give your background before you seg into that.
So, my background isn't quite as deep as a lot of people's. My passion is helping people with addictions. It's not necessarily because I've had my own. I've never been addicted to any heavy drugs or alcohol, but I was addicted to smoking. And I can't imagine being addicted to drugs or alcohol. I've helped so many people come out of it. But the problem that I see is that we struggle, and when we struggle, it's easier just to give up because there's an instant gratification, and that's the biggest problem that we have. So my background actually started, and how I started LaserQuit was because I was a smoker and I couldn't
Mhm.
find anything that worked for me. I tried the pills, the patches, the gums, you name it, I had tried it, and absolutely nothing was working for me. And so I posted on my Facebook and was like, someone help me, please. I'm desperate. And a friend of mine commented, you got to try cold laser therapy. And I was like, okay. And so I tried it, and I drove home the 3 hours that it takes to get home. And not once did I think about it. But what was interesting is the person that was with me kept saying, like, hey, are you going to quit smoking? And I was like, wait, what? What are you talking about? I haven't even thought about it. Like, you just put it in my head and I haven't thought about it. And he's like, no way. And I was like, yeah, why do you say that? And he's like, because you keep reaching for your cigarettes and rolling your window down. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So all my habits are still there, but it
You
literally
still have
hasn't crossed my mind, which is mind blowing, because that's one of the problems that we run into when we're trying to stop an addiction is the microbiome in your stomach scream to your brain that they're not getting what they want.
it.
And then
Mhm.
the crashed dopamine and serotonin and different endorphin levels make it so that you desperately want it because you don't feel normal. And so I wasn't feeling any of those things. And yet habits are something we can do completely unconsciously. And that's why I was reaching for my cigarettes. But my first 5 years was just this amazing experience. And then I started smoking because everyone was smoking around me. And I was like, oh, give me that. It was awful. It was the worst experience. And yet I did it. And so then I ended up going back, having another treatment. And while I was talking to the lady, we had agreed that I would buy the company and the training. And I just had to go get the money together and all the things. And I went home and I struggled. I didn't have the same experience I had the first time. And so I went home and I was like, I know this works. So the only thing that has changed here is me. The treatment didn't change. I changed. And so I did the training. I did all the things. I didn't feel like I had gotten enough from the lady I purchased it from. So I then instead went to, and he's a acupuncture laser therapy doctor. And so I went to him and I spent about $5,000 having him train me and just do all the things. And he was amazing. I had incredible success. But then I decided the first 5 years, I am going to sit here and study this. And I wanted to do experiments on people. So, of course, I got their permission. We documented everything. It's all gone in a fire. But We documented everything, and we ended up finding that different timing, different sequencing, different lasers, and other trademark secrets I'm not going to tell you about, make it so that we can have long-term success with these clients. And I mean, I have people who message me and say, I've been sober for 13 years. I've been sober for 11 years. I don't smoke. I haven't smoked in 5 years. So our success has been long-term success instead of short-term. And the way I ended up doing it was because I just was like, I want to be better. I don't want to be like average. I can accomplish average by not putting any effort in. And I always, 85% at school is a B. I didn't have to try. I'm an adult and I want to be the best there is. And so I really started doing things to become the best there was. And that is showing in our success rates.
But I think it's like the 10,000 hours it takes to be like creative, like from an actor to a musician to a painter.
And that's about five years, because the average person working 40 hours a week is 2,000 hours a year. So, and of course, I put in way more than just 2,000 hours a year, but 13 years later, and now 13 years later, I kind of did the first 5 years just smoking, and I branded myself as a smoking company, and it was amazing. And then I had a friend who contacted me and said, hey, so my daughter and her fiance are addicted to heroin. Can you help them? And I was like, I honestly don't know, but I don't see why not. So let's get them in here. They, sadly, the fiance ended up passing away, not because of the treatment or anything like that. After 4 years of not using, he went back and used, and he passed away just about immediately. But the daughter is still sober. Even after going through that massive trauma of having your spouse pass away on you, she's still sober. And so it started as like a friend of mine asking for a favor. And I was like, yeah, for sure. And then it turned into this bigger thing for me. And it's just such a deep passion for me. I just want to help people. And if I can help you get out of your addiction and help you live your best life, I feel like that's me accomplishing my purpose on this earth.
But the idea of this cutting edge cold laser, I think a lot of people don't know exactly what it is. So maybe high level, what does that entail and how is it used without revealing all the trade secrets, but kind of give it like the elevator pitch, high level version of it.
Okay, so basically, let's start with the explanation of the cold laser therapy. So cold laser is actually the red light therapy. Everyone's really, it's this trend right now. It's been around for a long time, like 50 years plus. But it's this trend that's happening right now. And so what it does is red light therapy stimulates your cells at the microbiome level, at the mitochondrial level, which is really amazing. It helps things recreate. And it's like the sunshine on your skin. It does things to you. And so it's red light therapy combined with low level radiation. Now I'm going to repeat that: low level radiation. It is not dangerous in any way. What we're doing is we're stimulating the energies in your body and telling your body to fix itself. So someone like me is just the instructor. I am giving your body instructions as to how to fix itself and what I want fixed. And so I do that using our lasers are very directed. So you'll see like chiropractors, veterinarians, they use cold laser to help heal wounds, to help with various things with body aches and things like that. And we've now taken that a step further. We've gone into a more directed laser. So it's not a big round head. It's a more pointed head so that it's directly pointed at an acupuncture or acupressure point. And then we stimulate the energy within your body. So we all have a million different energy meridians that run through your body that control different things. For example, your stress meridian and your stomach meridian run along the bottom of your arm, down your pinky finger, around your elbow, and into your body through your arm. Now, the reason that when we get stressed, a lot of us either don't eat or do eat, and we're always one extreme or the other. It's not we maintain our eating. It's either we now eat a lot of food or we don't eat at all. I will tell you, I'm the person who gets stressed and I don't want to eat. And the reason for that is because the same meridian, it runs on the same meridian. So it is causing us to either eat or not eat because it's stimulated by stress. And so we're using those energies in someone's body to create the outcome that we're looking for.
Is that similar to what acupuncture does in any way?
However, the difference with it is, so acupuncture, for the people who are watching, you'll be able to see, but say we have this pointed pen and the tip of it's very direct. And my finger has a meridian that runs right down the center of it. Okay. Now, if I take a needle and pierce here, it puts pressure on that meridian that runs down here, which is stimulating the energy in it. But if I take the laser, which I suddenly do not have in my office, but if I take the laser, it actually puts that on that spot and it penetrates all the way through to the other side. So you can see the light on the other side and the meridian is being penetrated, which means the energy is being stimulated more. So we're actually able to accomplish a lot more with less time and zero pain. So we're not piercing your skin with any of these needles or anything like that, but we're actually accomplishing a lot more. So you're no longer just having this pressure put onto the meridian. We're actually stimulating all the way through it. And that meridian then moves the energy that we want moved.
That's interesting. It seems like it's taking some Eastern concept and then taking it forward with the technology that you wouldn't have had.
Yeah, so we're taking Eastern thousands and thousands of years old Eastern medicine and we're combining it with Western medicine. And I got to say that having the two combined creates incredible outcomes. Like we have 95% for smokers. Now, when I say that, our addictions have a significantly higher, we have 98% with our addictions. And the reason that I believe this and what I've seen over the last 13 years is smoking isn't going to impact your life, your body, your anything the same way that an alcohol addiction, an opiate addiction, any of these other things are affecting right? Like it's going to ruin your life if you're addicted to alcohol, if you're addicted to opiates, if you're addicted to heroin, if you're addicted to cocaine, any of those things, it's going to destroy your life eventually. Yeah. Smoking is eventually going to give you cancer, and most people are like, "Oh, it won't be me."
Depends on your biology, how fast you get the cancer.
Exactly.
So some people it's not quicker than others, but most likely it's not going to be as devastating as opiate addiction or alcohol addiction, like immediate bad results.
Yes, it's destroying families. It's destroying your income. It's taking away your houses, your cars, all the things. Whereas your smoking isn't going to do those things. It's going to kill you, but it's not going to show up. And not only that, but we all have this like God complex. It's not going to happen to me.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to happen to me. Don't worry about it. It's not going to happen to me. And then when you have cancer, you call me and you're like, shit, hey, I should have started this sooner. So it makes me really sad though, because I want to help people before we get to that point. When we are at the point that they have cancer, now they're fighting for their lives. And that's where I'm at with my addictions people. Like they're fighting for their lives. I don't want you to wait until you're fighting for your life. Let's start making healthy habits now. Let's make good choices so that we don't have to suffer through the chemotherapy that has been around for how many years and they haven't changed or improved. You know what I mean? Like, let's make some holistic choices that are going to help us in our life to actually live a good, healthy life instead of this baloney that is what we're calling the way to deal with cancer, because it's not just killing cancer. It kills everything in your body. Mm-hmm. Let's not get to that place, because then even that, I'll talk to certain people about their smoking and their, some people will be like, oh, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, so I started smoking. And I was like, makes total sense, doesn't it? And they're like, I know, I don't even understand. And I'm like, one of the biggest things that I see here is if we clearly don't like ourselves, if we're putting these substances.
Yeah, there's a disconnect, when you do like the self-inflicted wounds, Mm-hmm. And the people that have that God complex that you mentioned, like they don't think it's going to happen to them. I mean, I'm 57. I'm a cancer survivor. I actually went through radiation treatment and three surgeries. It worked for me, but I changed and I never smoked. It was more of a genetic type of cancer.
Yeah, so you didn't even contribute to that, and yet you still ended up with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some situations either it was caused by external pollution in the environment, or it was genetic. But there was nobody really in my history I could see that had it. So it seemed didn't know where it came from, because I didn't smoke, I didn't do drugs. But one thing I did is after I made sure I had all kinds of filters on my water, make sure I got rid of VOCs. I have a hydroponic gardening. I check like pesticide levels in the food I get organic food. Don't get a lot of fast food. Make my own meals.
Yes.
A lot of things you had to change.
Yes.
Because once you realize that you beat it, then you
want to stay beating it.
You change it. That's why I'm doing the podcast. I mean, pre-cancer, I wouldn't have had the confidence to do what I'm doing. Post-cancer, for me, it was a catalyst to actually crucible moment that made me look at life and say, why can't I do that? If I can beat this, then I can do better. You don't want to
Yeah.
have to get through that to make changes. You want to be able to talk to somebody like yourself and make changes before something happens. But
And
if
they
you
say
can,
that 80 to 90% of people wait until something like that happens to catapult them into the reality of life. And I am not that person. I'm one of those 10 to 20% that are like, no, I'm not going to live like that. Yes, I did smoke. So don't get me wrong, but I don't drink coffee. And it's a very rare thing if I do. So I shouldn't say I don't. I don't drink coffee often. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't do drugs. I don't drink alcohol. I go to the gym. So I'm doing all these things that keep me healthy, and I'm not worried about those things. Now, I understand a lot of people will be like, "Oh, but it helps with stress." Well, does it though? Because really you're adding stress to your bank account. Because in Canada, we're paying $20 per pack of cigarettes. That's $600 a month, and people in Canada are hurting for money right now.
yeah, I mean, I
Hurting
think
for
it's just a
money.
crutch. I mean, it's just like if you're drinking too much caffeine, then you can't sleep. You have to take a pill for that. You have to do something else. You have to get some kind of equipment.
Yes.
Again, people don't look at the consequences of everything you do. I'm a Buddhist, so I look at like
Yes.
all the inputs, right? Like
Mhm.
everything you do and the non-decisions have effect, right? And we
Yes.
might already be on a path, but you can still make changes on your path, right?
Yeah. At
Yeah,
any
you don't
time,
have
I
to be
can
locked
pivot
in.
from what I'm doing at any time to start making things better. And
Yeah,
if it takes 7 years to completely rebuild my body, I can rebuild it in positive ways over, say, the next 21, right? Like, yeah, maybe I screwed up for 7, but now I can fix that over the next however many years it takes to rebuild my body and let it rebuild safely. Because it's not healthy to be doing what we're doing. And yet we're living in this society where everyone's like, oh, well, I'm like, it's really interesting because it's something I've noticed in the last couple months. The states announced all these tariffs, and all of a sudden everybody got like panicky. Nobody's spending money in Canada. Everyone's having a panic attack. And then I'll talk to people and I'm like, so you're not spending money? And they're like, yeah, we're just so broke. And I was like, can we talk about that? Because I just saw you at the Tim Hortons drive-through or the Starbucks drive-through, and that's $7 a day that you're spending on a coffee.
yeah. People
Want to
don't
talk
like
about the cigarettes?
they don't rationalize. Well, they rationalize the things they do. There's like, is that really a necessity?
Yes, and yet to them, well, it is. Well, oh my goodness, yeah. But if you made a cup of coffee at home, it would cost you $1.
Yeah, it's a lot less. It's like, why are you gonna buy that fruit, like all that sugar laden, fat
Yes,
laden coffee when you could just like if you have a real good Colombian coffee, I don't put any
yes.
sugar in it. I don't put any sweetener in it. I don't put
Well,
vanilla
yeah, I
in it.
was gonna say,
I
and they've
don't put
got
like why do you do
sugarless
all that stuff?
sweeteners.
All the fat from the milk and the cream. It's like,
Yes.
do you really need that? I mean, I lived in Japan. I love the green teas. I love all the
Yeah.
teas. I lived in Asia, and it's like tea was my thing because like you could get all these different types of tea, and
Yes.
people were drinking that more than soda and coffee, and I got more into tea. So I
Yeah.
have all kinds of teas around and different types of ways to do it. And the brewing of the tea is its own thing. Like
It is.
how you
Yep.
do it is super important and certain like you can get caught up in it.
Yeah.
But
It
it's
does.
like you can find things they better use of your time.
A
You learn
thousand
how to brew
percent.
some tea.
Better use of your time and money, and that's the thing. Like I talk to them and I'm like, okay, so let's just break this down, because you just told me you can't afford to quit smoking, but my question then becomes, can you afford to continue both financially and physically?
Yeah.
So your excuse is just that. It means that it's not a priority for you to make your health important. Instead, you're trying to reduce stress, which actually is not reducing stress. It's increasing your stress, because now you have to worry about where you're going to get your cigarettes from. How am I going to make my rent? Like, I remember being a single mom. My kids are now 21 and 22. I remember being a single mom, and I could afford my cigarettes, but my kids would have to eat mac and cheese for 4 days out of that 2 week period, because you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you
we
make
need to
choice
understand what we're
making choices.
rationalizing here.
Yeah, people make choices. If you have like an alcoholic dad, right? He's blowing like the paycheck on all this alcohol and the bars he's in, and then saying he can't even get a can of beans for his kid. He can't even get some like hot dogs because he's spending all the time at the bar, right? So
And
these people have to make
this is the
choices,
thing that I'm trying to wrap my head around, because I understand. I've been where these people are. I was a smoker who put my kids on mac and cheese for 4 days because I could only afford 10 days worth of food. You know what I mean? I would go to the school, and I mean, at this time, I'm going to say it was like $300 to $400 a month if you were smoking a pack of cigarettes. So it was a little cheaper then than it is now. But even then, I'm
That's
putting my
lovely.
children
That's
on, the school lunch program because I'm wasting $300 instead of buying organic, healthy, whole foods
yeah,
for my kids to
real
eat.
food. It's like even learn how to cook. Like go to IHOP, go to Denny's, whatever. You can make your own pancake. It doesn't take a lot, right? You can
Yeah.
make your own bacon. It's like how much are you
In fact,
charging for that bacon at the diner,
and
right?
it takes
Like
significantly less time to make your own pancakes than sit waiting for someone to serve
yeah, and you can
you.
make like a healthy pancake. I make like buckwheat pancakes,
Yeah.
which is like you could think about like what are you like this isn't a milk-based pancake, it's like, almond flour pancake or buckwheat pancake or like
Protein pancakes. You can find
something that's
ways
like
to mix
yeah,
them.
different ways of doing things, making sure that you eat like free range, birds,
Yes.
poultry and pasture raised eggs
And
and
then people will
understand
tell you
what
they
the
can't afford
difference.
that. That's
Yeah,
too
well,
expensive for them, but it's because we're out spending $7 on a coffee every
you're buying
day.
all this soda. It's like you go look at somebody at the grocery store and you see all this soda, all these chips, all this stuff, and then they say they can't buy the pasture raised eggs, they can't buy the really good veggies, but they have all this corporate junk.
Yes.
They've been kind of fed on a loop while they're watching
Yes.
their TV show, whether they're like sitting there binging some TV show getting shown to
Yes.
eat the junk. And then it's like, well, that's why you're eating the junk. You need
See, and you're
go
sitting
read a
eating
book.
junk. You're paying for a subscription service to sit on your butt, and there's your excuse for not being able to afford your $7.99 that you're paying. Or sorry, now the cheapest Netflix is $18.99 in Canada. So I'm paying $18.99 a month for that. That's my gym membership. And the
Yeah.
number of hours that I sit on my butt binging Netflix instead of going for a walk or going to the gym, which will all improve my health. Like our logic is lost
Yeah, it's
somewhere
totally wrong. It's like
in our
binge
current
watch. You
society.
should be going for a walk. You should be getting on a bicycle, get on a skateboard,
Go to the gym. I
go
get
to
it.
the
Like it can be
gym.
cold. Like do
Yeah. I
something,
mean,
do something you enjoy. Go dancing, go line dancing, join a class. Like there's so many things we could be doing that will benefit our health that is not sitting around watching TV, binge watching TV. We say we don't have enough time in life. I'm so busy. And I will tell you, I'm a busy woman. I own 2 companies. LaserQuit is one of those companies, and we have 8 locations. So when I
okay.
say I'm busy,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
busy.
big.
But if I tell you I don't work 12 hours a day, so where's all my time going? 8 to 10 hours a day is probably work because I'm one of those people who just because I put my phone down doesn't mean that I'm not working.
Yeah.
Right. And then on top of that, I can tell you right now, out of complete honesty, I spend at least 3 hours an evening watching shows. So yeah, maybe say from 7 till 10, I'm watching shows or 6 to whatever. And there are times in that because I have trouble sitting. I'm not going to lie. And if I'm not doing something for my businesses, that's my addiction. My addiction is work because it's something I
Or
can control.
workaholic. Yeah.
Yes,
That's its own thing.
it
That's
is. And I'm working on it because it's the only vice I have right now. But I literally like am up and down. Oh, I should vacuum the floor. Oh, I should do this. Oh, I should go do that. Oh, I should go do this. So in that 3 hours of TV time,
you're doing
at
other
least
things. You're multitasking. Yeah.
exactly.
Like I have
But
a stand-up desk. I'm here, right? In my day job, I'm a software guy. I got like
yeah,
three monitors on my machine, and I have a podcast. I'm in my music studio with all my keyboards.
love
So,
that.
and then I live in New Hampshire, so I go mountain biking or snowshoeing, right, when I want to decompress. And it's like I don't know. I'm not a gym guy. I'm more like I'll go in the woods and
Outside. Yes.
snowshoe or mountain bike because
I
I
am not an
like
outdoor
that.
person. I'm a little more of, I mean, don't get me wrong. Come the summer, you can't find me inside the house. I live outside in the summer, but in the winter, it's Canada. Like right
Yeah,
now,
so
we're
it's worse.
almost minus 20, which I
Yeah,
don't know what would be for you guys, but it's so cold.
it's
I
not
don't
as
want
bad.
to be outside.
It's not as
So,
we're more mild, so we can get
yes,
away with it.
exactly. So I'm the person who's like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym and it's part of my morning routine. It's part of what I do. And it's like now that I'm living this significantly healthier lifestyle, which I've been doing, say, for about 13 or 14 years since I turned about 30, I started realizing my health was important, especially if I want to be there for my kids, if I want to be able to help them, if I want
Long term.
anything to do
Yeah.
with a long life, I need to really take it seriously. And so I started doing just that. And as I started doing it, I was like, holy crap, the difference in my mindset, the difference in my attitude, the
Energy
difference in
level,
my
right?
physical.
Your
Yes.
energy level, like, it goes up, like, the people wonders, like, "How can you do so many things?" Like, the people who are kinda, like,
Yes.
really, entrepreneurs, or they're doing, and then they look like they're, how are they so busy? Where they get the energy? Well, because if you have that balance, if you actually care about what you're putting in your body, do you take
Yes.
time to, like, exercise or meditate or breathing or whatever, light work, whatever you do, but
Yep.
you're actually doing something to kind of make sure you're here,
Yes.
rather than having this mindset, "Well, I'll go to the bar, I'll go to the back alley and get this, or I'll go do something, I'll go to the gambling shack," whatever. Like, the things that are gonna not keep you here, they're gonna stress you out,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You have to start to, like, look at yourself and make
Yes.
the hard calls, right?
But I
Just
mean, also, I think probably the hardest thing I've ever done was looking at the ugliest side of myself. And so I understand why people don't want to do that. But the beautiful part about looking at the ugliest side of yourself is shame can't live in the dark, or can only live in the dark.
yeah,
So if I expose that shame to the light, suddenly it doesn't exist anymore. And it's a beautiful thing when you actually are able to like teach your children. Like I said, my kids are 21 and 22. My daughter came to us and was like, I have something I'm really ashamed of, but I don't want to talk about it. And I was like, if we have a conversation about it, it's not going to exist anymore. And she was like, what does that even mean? I was like, well, let's talk about it. She's like, I really don't want to. Like, I'm that ashamed of it. We ended up talking about what it was. And as soon as she got it out, she's like, holy shit, Mom, like, I
it's very
actually,
cathartic. It's
yeah,
cathartic.
she's like, I actually already feel better about this thing. So like, I understand. And a lot of things, like a lot of the people that I'm working with, I'm not pulling people off the streets. They need to pay for my
Yeah, yeah, they're
services.
coming to you.
Right? So I'm not pulling people off the streets. I am talking about high level executives, owners of big businesses, small businesses, like multi-million dollar companies, high level, like general managers of automobile companies and things like that. Like those are the people who are like, I just have so much stress that it started as I did cocaine only on a Friday or a Saturday, and now I
Yeah,
can't not do it every single day. Those are the people I'm dealing with. So if that's the person that's watching this, I can help you. if
yeah.
you're if you're one of those
Put
people
people under
who, like,
traps.
yes, if
Yeah,
you're a business owner, if you're a person who's struggling, if you're a nurse, if you're in chronic pain, I've also been there and I understand how you get hooked on things that you shouldn't be. But I can help you get off of these things. And one of the craziest parts about like what I do is that we're based on, the chemicals in your brain essentially. And one of the hardest parts about getting sober is the fact that it takes 14 to 18 months for your brain to regulate its chemicals, because long term use of anything changes the physiological and chemical makeup of your brain.
mhm.
So, a prime example of this is if you drink, say, Friday, it takes 8 days for your brain to recover and go back to normal. So, you just spent 8 days of your life suffering, not living your best life, not feeling like your greatest self. And then come Friday, you're only 7 days in. So you're now drinking again. You didn't even get back to normal and you're drinking
Yeah,
again.
now you're just on that train, and to get off the train is that detox,
It
and the
is,
detox is not fun,
but you
right?
don't have to detox with LaserQuit because
Oh,
we actually trick your brain into thinking that it's already got the fix. So we
oh,
release the endorphins and this is what makes it so cool because, like I said, the hardest part is that 14 to 18 months. So these people are told, like, we're going to get you sober. You're going to suffer, say 2 weeks of that detox where you're puking, pooping, like all of the things, worst experience of your life. And now, as I'm sober, you want me to deal with the real problem because the addiction is the solution. The
yeah, the
problem
real
is
problem,
their feelings that they don't want to feel.
and
And
that might
so,
cost you might have to do more for that.
and we offer coaching that goes along with our treatments, which makes it so people actually heal and stay healed. But the thing is that they're in a detox. They come out of detox and into rehab. And now they're supposed to talk about their feelings, deal with the things that are going on. But the problem with that is if my brain chemicals are not regulated, like women PMS, and when we PMS, we have no control over our behaviors. Like our hormones are controlling how we act. It's insane, but it's real. Now, if I'm imbalanced, because my brain is going to take the next 14 to 18 months to recover, but I'm supposed to start dealing with my traumas, but I'm in a depressed state because my dopamine levels have
Yeah,
crashed. It doesn't
maybe
take
you're not balanced enough to be able to handle it.
Most people aren't, which is how come they relapse. That's why
Yeah,
most people can't make a year because now I'm supposed to deal with my traumas and my broken parts of myself and look at my dark sides. And I can't do that because my brain isn't capable of
You
it.
don't have the resources, or you haven't built up like the strength
Yes.
training.
And how are you supposed to build up the strength or the capacity in your head to do that when your brain chemicals are not working?
Yeah.
LaserQuit removes all of these obstacles because it puts your brain chemicals where they need to be. And then we keep treating you to make sure that your brain learns this
So
new
you're staying
normal.
in balance instead of being out of balance.
Yes. So
It makes
now
it
you have motivation, you have discipline, you have the ability to process your feelings and work through them as you see them surface rather than, poor me. And don't get me wrong when I say this, but like instead of us feeling like, poor me, I'm so depressed, life is so hard. Oh, why is it like this? You suddenly are like, okay, so I put myself in this position and I have the ability to get myself out. You're given power back
yeah, you
by
get the
doing these
empowerment, and the thing is like the secret sauce of any like songwriter is I take the things that happen, like good, bad, ugly, and I cathartically put them into my piano, right,
Yes.
or my bass guitar, or my electric guitar, or whatever, and my
Yes.
voice, and then I go through it though. I have to actually go through the pain and the vulnerability, and then take what's inside and get it outside. Not a lot of people can't do that. They don't know how to do that.
And
Artists,
that's
we do it.
that
Like
part
that's
right
what
there.
we
It's
do.
that we've never been taught proper coping mechanisms. And so that's some of the services that we offer. We offer full coaching services. We also offer teaching people how to use coping mechanisms. We give you new coping mechanisms for you to learn. Like some people are like, no, I don't want coaching. I just want to get sober. And I'm like, well, the reality of it is
You probably
that you're
need
not going
it.
to stay sober if you don't deal with the feelings, because those feelings are going to come up and you're going to want to numb them again. And more things are going to come up. So we need to learn coping mechanisms. So even smokers, I'm like, y'all need to call me when you're suffering, because when your addict brain takes over, you no longer have control and logic doesn't mean anything. The addict will win. And if you call me, I'll talk to your addict brain and get them out of your head so that you have control again. You're back in control and you can make the decisions. I'm no longer relying on the addict in me.
Yeah,
So
it's like
we do things different.
I think people compartmentalize things, and then they think it's like,
Well,
yeah, they think it's like, oh, if I just take care of this one, it's like everything's like multiple pillars to things. There's
yes.
multiple aspects of multifaceted. But
Yes.
people go for the quick thing, and they say, well, I can do this one piece out of like all the pieces of the puzzle. Was you only did these pieces,
The
so
puzzle
you
doesn't
didn't.
look very complete when you've
It's
left
not
so many
complete. Yeah,
pieces out of it.
yeah, you
So
don't, and yeah, people don't get the holistic vision. They get tunnel vision on one aspect, and
yes.
then they wonder why it didn't work.
Yes, and that's exactly it. It's, well, I just need to get sober. Well, no, because sober takes you back to the place where you have all these feelings that you don't want to feel. And the only place you've ever felt numb enough is over here at addiction. So there's a big gap that we need
Yes,
to
yeah,
a big gap, and we need to close that gap and bring us together and consolidate all of the things. But waiting 18 months for your brain to recover also isn't realistic.
well,
And
that's
again,
gotta
that's
be
why
a
people don't make it a year.
fail. Yeah, you gotta fail. I mean, like you're kind of built for failure in that
Yes.
scenario. Like you wonder why so many times people like they have a plan, but they really didn't include in their plan the truth of it, right? So
Yes.
if you kind of have a sugar coated plan that doesn't deal with reality, but
Yeah.
it deals with the best case scenario. Like I'm in software design, we gotta look like what's the worst case scenario.
What's the worst thing that's going to happen if
What are all the potential things? And we go into a whiteboard session. It's not just me. It's a
yeah,
bunch of people from multiple departments, multiple stakeholders, and we have to kind of not blue sky it. And I've been in rooms where they blue sky it, and then it doesn't work.
yeah,
He did a
yeah,
2-year project, and it totally failed because they didn't have the right people in the room. They didn't want to deal with the hard truths. And
yes,
so because if you don't deal with have the right people, have the hard truths addressed, and really look at like what are we doing right, what are we doing wrong. If you don't
yes,
want to admit what you're doing wrong, you're never going to do anything right.
yes. And how are you supposed to correct something if you can't see it for what it really is? And so I feel like that's where, like, we do offer different types of packages within LaserQuit where you can go get your own coaching or your own therapy or whatever you want outside of us. So we do offer packages that allow you to take that route, but we have the best packages that include your group coaching. So you'll be in a Zoom meeting with other people who are doing the same thing as you're doing. And we're not doing an AA meeting. We're not going to look back at who you used to be, because coaching is about moving forward. And when something blocks you, dealing with the thing that's blocking you so that you can move forward again and making a forward plan. Oh, I need to fix this. Let's heal this so that I can move forward. It's not focused on all the things I used to do or all the bad things I did when I was an addict or any of those things. We're focused on who you are now, who you want to be. And then when things surface that we need to deal with, we deal with it by looking back so that we can move forward. So there's a lot of pieces in it. It's not just this amazing treatment. That being said, our treatment is pretty amazing. And I even have a lady, so we do licensing partners. And what we do is essentially, like, you've probably heard of it, Sono Bello. And what they do is they basically like license a store to offer it. So you'll see a med spa that offers Sono Bello, this fat melting treatment. They have been trained and taught how to sell this product out of their store. That's what we do. We teach spa owners, Medi spa owners, rehabs, health and wellness centers. We teach them how to do what we do, and then we just take commissions off of them. Now, we have this amazing location in British Columbia, and she and I did an interview about a month after they started working with us. And she was like, I feel like maybe you underplay it a little bit. And I was like, oh, tell me more. And she was like, this is life-changing, Meridee. And I was like, I know. And she's like, but I don't think that you're telling people enough. And I was like, well, what more could I do? And she's like, tell them you're going to change their life. And I was like, but they need to be committed. And she's like, yeah, I see that. She's like, I see, like, she quit smoking using the treatment. So she was like, I do see my own commitment is required for me to do this and to stay successful with this and all of the things. She said, so, but also, like, this is life-changing. She's like, I have never experienced anything like this. And I said, I understand that, but I need to make sure that people have a realistic view of what they're getting themselves into, because they can't just walk in and it's just,
because I think a lot of people want to go 0 to 100.
Yes.
And everybody wants to do the quick fix, like the magic pill.
Yes. And it is one, but there's long-term that needs to be incorporated into this quick
you
fix.
still have things you have to do, because you're saying, like, the counseling and they're kind of looking at, like, you get past the addiction, but what caused the addiction?
Yes.
If you don't address
deal with the root cause of things.
Root cause now.
Yes, like, if we don't deal with the root cause, the roots are still going to be there, and they're going to still, the plants, no matter what. Like, I had a tree in my yard, and I think about this all the time. I had a tree in my yard, and we cut it down well below ground level. We buried it. That freaking tree grew like 15, not even, I'm going to say 45 other trees. I literally had to dig the tree up to pull the root out,
doing that.
because it wouldn't. And now I use it as it's such a normal thing, because I'm like, oh my goodness, the way that tree was is exactly what happens when we just have a treatment and don't deal
surface
with
level. I took the main tree down, but I didn't get rid of the branch.
Until
the underlying issues always kind of ding you. He's like, if you don't take care of the underlying, like, what we call, in IT, we have things where we have defects, right? But and then you ignore them,
and the ripple effects from that defect.
Also, you could have core like foundational defect.
Yes,
you could have a system that has a core defect, and you're actually building a new system to replace it.
Yes,
but if the new system is not ready, and you have to address that
we're just piling things on top of it.
Yeah,
right?
You have to. You keep on giving band-aids, and you know that really the core functionality has to get ripped out and redone.
Yes,
and you're actually in the middle of it, but you still have to address what's happening now. So you're on two tracks. You have to deal with the existing and then try to get to the future state. And it's hard to balance that.
It is. And then it makes me think of, like doctors, they'll give you a medication and then they're like, side effect may be anxiety. And then you come back and you're like, so I have anxiety. And they're like, here, have another pill. And so now you have an anxiety pill because the pill you started taking is giving you anxiety. And now I'm just stacking pills on pills on pills instead of, if I had just dealt with what was actually happening here and didn't take any pills at all, I wouldn't be taking anxiety pills because I wouldn't have anxiety. I wouldn't be taking the pill that I'm taking for that. Like it keeps compounding. We just keep putting things on top of it. And it's just such an interesting way of looking at it. Tony Robbins used to say this about money. He used to say, if you went to play 18 holes with me and I said, let's start at, 10 cents per hole, double or nothing, would you be in? You're like, yeah, that doesn't seem that big of a deal. But by the time we hit the 18th hole, we're at like $13,000 a hole. Compounding is a big deal. And it is the same with money as it is with your body. You are compounding more and more shit into your body. And you're just going to make things worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Because people just initially hear the 10 cents and they don't think about the math. They don't think about the consequences of each individual thing. They say, oh, maybe they think they're going to win. Like, really? You're going to win every hole? Like, really?
Isn't that how it goes in our head though? Like, it's not going to happen to me. I'm going to be the one who's different. I'm going to win all 18 holes, except what about the actual percentages of that actually happening?
Yeah. When did that happen?
All you're seeing is the 10 cents. Yeah. Sure, why not? Which is exactly what happens to gamblers. And we treat gamblers, we treat PTSD, we treat stress, we treat anxiety, we treat depression. We're treating all these different addictions. This method is life-changing and can help people really, truly live a better life. And none of this is like this story I'm making up. That being said, there's not much science behind it at this point. What I can tell you is the testimonials I have, those are the stories that we have. Those are the real science behind it. And one of the other things that I'm working on is the science behind it with a doctor who has created this brain scanner. So we're actually going to start working on the results and the actual science behind it. Yeah. Because I'm tired of people. Yeah, I'm tired of people saying, "Well, how do we know?"
Yeah, well, they got some people. They have to have it. Like if you have the left brain, right brain. Some folks are more esoteric.
Yep.
And they'll buy into things if it feels right. They feel the frequency, they feel the vibrate, the vibe of it.
Yep.
And for those people, they'll go into it. Other people, they're evidence-based type people. They want to see the report. They want to see the numbers. Like an IT. Like I run into an executive. They want to see the dashboard.
Numbers. Show me the numbers.
Know what the quarterly report is. Where are we losing money? Where are we not losing money?
Yes.
Where are they don't want to see fudgy. They want to know, is that real? Is that, is it where, what's
you
the
can show up and make me all the promises in the world, but I need to see the results of these promises you're making in order for me. And I understand that. And what I'll tell you is the testimonials that I have are not just, like your everyday testimonials. These people's minds are blown. Now, that being said, I'm also sort of limited on the amount of testimonials I can get because we're talking about heavy addictions here. We're talking about people who they're closet drinkers. No one knows that they're a high level CEO, which means they can't give me a video testimonial. They can't share that. They'll write it, and then they'll send it to me and I'm only allowed to screenshot the message. I'm not allowed to show who it's from or any of those things. Well, I could send myself that text. Those are my favorite though. Like one of my girls just sent me one. We treated her addiction and she said, I'm 20 minutes away from your business and you literally freed me of a demon I've been holding on to for the last 15 years. And I just want to thank you. And that's it for me. That I'm like, oh my goodness, this is why I do it.
If you save somebody from that kind of demon in the bottle, like that, because it's such a destructive thing in society.
Yes.
And there's so many pressures the way our society kind of has expectations for people. And then people, don't feel safe, because it's always about fear and safety. And then there's like permission structures and shame.
Yes.
You get all those things together and then people go down the rabbit hole, they go down the rat hole and they get on the wrong path.
Yeah.
Because everybody's looking for the quick fix. We live in a society, you go on Instagram and you got young people seeing these influencers and like they think they could be a photoshopped version of something, of somebody. Yeah. That's not even real. It's not even real. It's like, so you're people getting trained very young to be in the unreal.
Yeah. My son actually came to me one time and he was like, so I've got this incredible girlfriend and I know the girl. And I'm like, yeah, she's pretty awesome. And he's like, But Instagram makes it so that I'm not necessarily like in it with her because I feel like I could do so much better. And I'm like, whoa, let's talk about that. And he's
Yeah.
like, well, I mean, and then he just shows me his feed. And I was like, hey, first of all, I'm going to encourage you to stop following those accounts because you're looking at, women in their barely anything who spend hours and hours at the gym, who are influencers. And there's probably a very small percentage of them. And most of them either have spouses or are incredibly unhappy with themselves, which is why they do what they
When they're
do.
doing, yeah, then what you see is not what you're gonna get.
No.
And a lot of times the surface, like what people wear masks. And like as a creative like musician, the
Yes.
masks in my industry are unbelievable. Like in terms of like what you present and then what's actually going on.
Yes.
And sometimes you don't want to be who they are.
Yep.
Because
The
if you found
majority
out
of
what
them.
what they have to what they've gone through or how they live, you wouldn't want that for anybody.
No. And that's such a normal thing. Like I surround myself often with, very wealthy people in the town that I'm in. And at the same time, most of these people are not very happy.
No,
Like everyone's like, oh, money will make me happy. And I understand money makes life easier. But what I can tell you is money amplifies the things that you don't like about yourself.
yeah,
So now
and
you're
some
going to try
even
and
better.
take that money and go get surgery, or you're going to go, pay someone more, pay a personal trainer way more than the average personal
More
trainer. And
money,
that
more
personal trainer's
problems. You get more problems.
yes,
It's just
yes,
like you don't the problem doesn't get solved because the thing is this, is like, if you look at something, why do you want the $1,000,000? Because you wanted to you could actually do that without the
without
$1,000,000.
$1,000,000. Yeah,
So that's the
and
problem is that's the
it
problem.
really is. And so then that's like obviously you have to for me and what I do, I have to have some kind of financial goal. But what that financial goal stands for with me is the number of people that I'm helping.
Mhm.
That is just the result of how many people I'm having an impact on.
Well, how
And
you
for
reach
me,
your
that's the
reach, and
yes,
also who you reach. Like, if you think
yes,
about it, like, as a podcaster, you could be somebody's hitting, like, 1,000,000 views, but what if you
yes.
actually hit, like, you don't hear anywhere near that, but you actually affect somebody's life. Somebody
10
goes and
people.
makes a decision, they decide to go and get into a business, they decide to go and do something positive, that is worth a lot. It's a worth
Yes.
and so, like, the number of views versus the effect that you have from, like, the law of attraction, right? Like,
Yes.
who you actually reach and who
Yes.
connects. To me, as an artist, it's like I'm more into, like, who I connect with and the opportunity I get from the connections.
Yes.
I I've gotten all kinds of opportunities to connect with people, and maybe I didn't hit super numbers of views, but I got to connect with a bunch of filmmakers, got an opportunity to
Yes.
do this. We connected with a producer, connected with an actor, a writer, and then we had a discussion, and it's like it wasn't about the money, it's about the art. It's about the community of people who are creative
Yeah.
wanting to do something, right? And whether or not, people don't ask, like, well, how much are you going to pay me? It's not about that. It's about like the feeling of trying to do something positive, or you're in a groove and you're aligned with somebody that's in the same mindset.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's where you start to really have happiness because it's like that isn't always about, money. You get into a conversation with somebody for 3 hours and they're like, they're not charging you for the hours.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
it's a human conversation, and you're like, "Wow, I
Yes.
found this
And the
person."
impact that it had even on you or on them, and the result of it is far more important, like, for me, than the number of people who have seen my stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean? I could have 50,000 people following me on Instagram and yet none of them paying me at all,
yeah.
And for me, it's more about how many people's lives I can impact. I don't need tons of thousands of followers following me. I want to make sure that my impact is massive.
Yeah, if you get people that need you, right, that need what you're doing, and they
Yes.
find you, that's
Yeah.
what you want, right? And so
Yeah.
if you can pull in the people that need your services, that need what you're doing, that's like the success. because then you're
Yes.
actually finding your tribe. You're finding the people who need it, right? People here want to hear what you're talking about. I think
Yeah.
that's the connection that sometimes the people like accountants don't sometimes get that.
Yes.
They're like, it's like, oh,
It's the
CEO,
logics of it. That's
yeah,
it. Just
it's like,
numbers.
oh, I just
Those
see the
numbers.
numbers. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's always not always the story. But
Yeah.
I want to thank you for being a guest here. We do have the laserquittherapy.ca/contact. Somebody contacts you there. What is that? How they book things with you?
The contact gives you our phone numbers. It also there's an email attached there and it comes directly to me. If you guys are interested in doing a partnership, licensing, any of those things, go ahead, use that link. Also, the entire website has, you can book on the website. You can read about how it all works on the website. You'll see a few testimonials. If you go to YouTube, which I believe is where you're streaming today, you can search up LaserQuit Queen and you'll find a bunch of my testimonials are all over YouTube. So you guys feel free to check us out.
And that's fully clickable. We are just live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We'll be on all the other podcast platforms that we can listen to or watch a podcast like Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon. By tomorrow, there'll be a landing page that we're going to share with you, and everybody can pick whatever platform they like and watch or listen to it and check it out again. And I want to thank you for being a guest on the Family Electric Ghost podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.